also seen, I believe, a family member called in yesterday morning, and when we tried to click to the call, I believe the phone got disconnected or they hung up. So tell us what's going on and what happened.
Again, thanks for having us. I mean, we understand this platform and this opportunity to tell, Casey's story. And, we don't take that for granted. So obviously in the news, the police has put out a narrative that Casey drove by waving a gun. And, it doesn't make sense, right? As a black man in America in 2020, that just doesn't happen. And so that was already a cause for concern. But what they didn't tell us was that Casey was actually executed walking inside of his home. And so that's something that obviously, would have made this immediately a national news story. And so, what happened was that Casey woke up that morning. He had a dentist appointment. He went to the dentist, normal Friday. And, from that point, he headed home, stopped at Subway, grabbed 3 sandwiches, one for himself and a couple for his family. And at that point, he parked in front of his house, walked across his yard, started to go into his side door. And at some point, as that side door was open, there was an altercation with the deputy. And by altercation, I mean the family heard 3 gunshots and saw Casey fall into his kitchen. And at that point, his toddler brother, his 5-year-old brother, started screaming. His 3-year-old cousin started screaming. And his 72-year-old grandmother came into the kitchen and saw her baby on the kitchen floor in a pool of blood with Subway lying next to him. And so that's the story, that a man was executed walking into his own home. It was not that a man was waving a gun. And it's important to note that since that initial story, that police account has changed. It's now that he was witnessed with a gun. And at that point, he parked in front of his house, walked across his yard, started to go into his side door. And at some point, as that side door was open, there was an altercation with the deputy. And by altercation, I mean the family heard 3 gunshots and saw Casey fall into his kitchen. And at that point, his toddler brother, his 5-year-old brother, started screaming. His 3-year-old cousin started screaming. And his 72-year-old grandmother came into the kitchen and saw her baby on the kitchen floor in a pool of blood with Subway lying next to him. And so that's the story, that a man was executed walking into his own home. It was not that a man was waving a gun. And it's important to note that since that initial story, that police account has changed. It's now that he was witnessed with a gun. And so we have a case where a black man with a concealed carry permit in a state that allows you to openly carry a weapon was witnessed with a gun and was executed walking into his own home. And that's all that we have at this point, because that deputy, Jason Meade, has not made any statement about exactly what happened and what he did.
So did he have a gun? Did they find a gun, or there was no weapon?
They said that they found a weapon, and it wouldn't be a surprise to the family because Casey was very passionate about guns, and he took the step of getting his concealed carry permit. But he also, at the same time, I was very adamant with his family about gun safety and never having a gun illegally. So they say that they recovered a gun, but all the family saw was the Subway there and Casey on the floor, dying.
Did they also say that he was not the person that they were looking for? I remember reading that somewhere.
Exactly, and so that deputy was there for some fugitive task force. But Casey never had any encounters with the law. Casey was not a suspect in any way. And they did clarify that from the beginning. So it's not a situation where there was a mistaken identity. This was flat out an execution of an innocent man walking into his home after a dentist appointment.
And he was shot in the back.
Yeah, that's our belief. Unfortunately, we have not had any access to the body. Casey's family has not been able to see Casey since this incident. But what we do know is that Casey's keys were still in the door. Casey, he had a Mickey Mouse emblem on those keys, and those keys were hanging in the door even after the shooting. And so, he's walking in. There are 3 bullet holes in this metal screen door, and what we know is that this was an execution. And this should not have happened in any way, shape, or form.
Hold on, Sean. Tamala, we got to send you positive energy, love, and healing energy right now, because I see you going through it. And I wouldn't wish this on anybody.
Right, and I know this is very brave and strong for you to even be able to come on our platform, but we do want to make sure that there is some sort of accountability or justice and anything that we can do to bring light and attention to what happened unjustly to your son. We want to make sure that we do that and make people aware of what happened.
And by the way, you look like you could be his sister. You look super young.
He was my twin. He was my twin.
Wow.
And I saw originally the cops were trying to say that he was in his car, you know.
Yeah, and that part really frustrated me, and I think that's important. I mean, I'm not saying that that the fix is in, but the cover-up is definitely in motion, because from the very beginning, the statement that was put out was that he was shot after exiting his vehicle, and that's just not the case. He died on his kitchen floor, and it was yards away. I mean, he parked on the street. It wasn't a driveway. He had to walk across his yard.
Had to walk across the neighbor's yard, and then across his yard, and into the back gate. It was in the door. It was able to open the door. And when we fell in the house, shot to death in front of my mother, my 5-year-old son. My 5-year-old son is the one who called me screaming, "Mommy, the police just shot Casey. He's dead. Please, I'm so scared. Hurry up. Come get me, Mommy. Get here. Get here, Mommy." I just dropped him off over there because I was on my way to my second job.
Whole family traumatized. Now, how was your the grandmother at the moment?
That night, she passed out and hit her head and fell down my steps. And when she just got out the hospital, she broke her collarbone. I mean, we are shattered. I gave birth to Casey when I was 16 years old. He was the only baby in the family, so he became everybody's baby. It took a village. I was a baby when I had him. And so my parents, my sister, everybody was a big part of his upbringing. He didn't have a father. So my dad was his father. And my dad passed almost 3 years ago. So, he was our baby. He was our baby. So you see this, and I see mothers, and my heart breaks. But you never ever imagine I'm a single mother of 10 children. I raise my kids by myself. We don't count on the government for assistance. I work my butt off. They are very, very well taken care of. Casey was my rock. He was the big brother, so he helped with everything. Like, I just gave birth to twins December 28th of last year. They were 2 months early. And Casey had just got home. He had a CDL license. And he had a contract with Walmart. He was driving cross country in California for 6 months. And he came home for Christmas. And then I went to early labor. I had the twins 2 months early. So he was there. And when they took me into the operating room, he was right by my side.
Take your time. It's all right. Take your time. Sean, I'm asking you.
Casey had to leave and go back out on the trucks. But he couldn't leave me at home by myself with them twins in the NICU. And he came home and he stayed home so he could help.
He sounds amazing.
My son was more than amazing. He did not deserve this. I didn't raise them to be in the streets. They was not raised like that. They are not in the streets. He's never been in trouble in his life. Everything he did was legal. And his guns was legal. Every last one. He loved guns. He did. And it's so sad he died by one. But everyone was legal. He got his license first. He was big. He got pictures all over his page of his classes. He was so proud of himself. He was big on the license. He got his license. He was so proud of himself. He bought every one of his guns from the gun store, Vance's. He never purchased an illegal gun. He wouldn't do that. If he had his gun on him, it was on his hip, and I guarantee that.
So where's the NRA at a time like this? This is when the NRA is supposed to step up, right, Sean?
Exactly. And I think what this story, says for this country is what does it say that a black man can do everything right? He can go and get his concealed carry permit. He can live in a state where it's legal to do that. It's a constitutional right to bear arms. And so, for Casey was proud of that. Casey was a gun rights advocate. but he did things the right way. And I can say that myself as a black man, as a father and a husband, I have to question whether if I get a CCW, if I will be shot and killed because of some officer that sees me with a gun and sees a threat. And so I think this is something that we all have to rally around, across the country because, like you said, the NRA, I mean, it crosses racial lines, to the extent that we all should have a right to protect ourselves in this country. And I think it's important that, the media gets this right, because I've been asked questions like, why did Casey feel the need to have a gun permit at such a young age?
Oh, shut up.
Casey, and I promise. And so Casey was 23 years old. I mean, that's like asking why somebody driving a car has a driver's license, because I can legally do that at that age.
It's my legally right. It's my legal right.
Exactly. And so, it's not about what Casey did at this point, because Casey did nothing.
Right.
Casey went to the dentist to get his teeth cleaned. Casey went and got Subway for himself and for his family. Casey did everything right, and so he's still at that point after doing everything right, after being hardworking and being just passionate about his family and about this world. He was gunned down in his own home, and so we need justice for Casey.
The only threat my son was being a black man.
That's
in America. That's the only threat my son was. My son would not hurt a fly. My son, if I killed a bug, he'd be like, Mom, quit. Like, he loved snakes. He loved animals. He was so annoying with the snakes and the animals and the dogs, and he just loved life. He was a nature. If you watch if y'all on my page, you'll see some of the videos posted. He got his siblings and they're out taking nature walks. And
now how can people support you guys with whatever you would need?
1 second, Sean, is it true that the state turned down taking over the investigation?
That's true, and that's important to note, because what happened was that the Franklin County Sheriff's Office initially, was involved with this shooting. It was a sheriff's deputy, and they turned that investigation over to the Columbus Police. But in 2020, the Columbus Police have turned over their own investigations to the state police because of so many issues with those investigations. And so 3 days passed before Columbus asked the state police to come in. And they said at that point, we don't know what happened to the scene. We don't know where these witnesses have gone. We can't, come into this. We also don't know why you're asking us to come in. And so there are so many questions raised at this point, and the investigation at this point is tainted. And so they're going to have to take serious steps in order to ensure justice for Casey. And, it's important to note that the U.S. Marshal that was leading this task force on Friday, the day of the shooting, he said that he believes that it's justified. But all he said was that Casey was shot after exiting his vehicle, and that things went badly. And that's a slap in the face. That's a slap in the face to Casey's family and to this country, that you can take the life of a black man in his own home, lie about that, and tell us that it happened after he exited his vehicle. And that statement is enough to have us remain patient and to allow this quote unquote investigation to play out. We can't remain patient because at this point, every day that passes is a day that justice is denied for Casey and for black people in this country. And so, Charlamagne, you asked how can the family be supported? Jason Meade to this point has not made a statement about what took place that day. There are no eyewitnesses that we know of, but Jason Meade was there. And as an officer that is sworn to protect and serve, I see no reason why he can't come out about what caused him to take the life of Casey on Friday, December 4th.
And there's no body camera footage. I know they said that they're not required to wear body cameras. Does Meade have a history of doing things like this? What is his history like as a police officer?
Yeah. So we're still waiting on his full personnel file, but we do know that he was involved in a shooting back in 2018. I don't know the facts of that shooting, but it's not his first shooting. And he was a SWAT officer, is my understanding. And, they take a violent approach. They deal with violent fugitives, but what you cannot do is you cannot view a black man with a gun as violent or a suspect or a fugitive simply because he has a gun. If that's all right in this country, we cannot be executed for simply exercising that right.
Was the officer black or white?
White.
So what's the call to action What's the call to action, Tamala and Sean?
I want murder charges. If it was my son, he'd be in jail right now with murder charges. If it was me, I would be sitting in jail with murder charges. My son was executed coming into his home. He laid on the kitchen floor, dying in front of his 5-year-old brother, my 72-year-old mother, and a whole slew of family members. We want justice. If it was any one of us, we would be in jail today trying to pay a bond if we had one. That man needs to be charged. He needs to be prosecuted. He needs to be fired. His bag needs to be taken. And we need some type of police reform. And this gotta stop. This gotta stop.
All right. Well, thank you guys so
you for
much. And
joining us,
Tamala, you
Nicole.
have my info. My line is open to you.
Yeah, I want to connect
Anything
you.
that I could do for you, always just hit me up. Let me know. We will always keep people updated on what's happening, whatever we can do to help and amplify this story. Just know we are all in.
Yeah, we need to connect Tamala with the mothers of the movement. You know what I'm saying? Because she need that kind of support group around her right now. She need that kind of village loving up on her right now. So you need to connect her with Sabrina Fulton and the other mothers of the movement.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Tamala Payne and Sean Walton. Appreciate you. And like you said, we're here for you anytime you need us. This platform is here for you. So if you need it, you give us a call. And thank you so much for checking in this morning.
Thank y'all. Sending you healing energy, Tamala.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Love.
All right.